Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Crimewatch rewatch. Hope you've all had a good week. I released my Dirt Today video last week. A lot of people seem to have enjoyed it. So I've got some more ideas for that. Make it a little cleaner. Improve the presentation of it a little bit. So there'll be more of those coming soon. And so for this edition, we are going back for our Crimewatch rewatch back to the 14th of November, 1985. Okay, so as ever, I will give my trigger warning that these are real events, real crimes with real victims. But before we start on the main show, I'm just going to do a quick roundup of what was happening in the UK at that time. So, where are we? Is it this one? Okay, so November 14th, 1985. The main news stories of the day. Margaret Thatcher was in Northern Ireland to sign an agreement which would have essentially led to a form of power sharing. And you may be surprised to know that Ian Paisley was dead against it. Terry Waite was in Lebanon to negotiate the release of four hostages. And if you're checking your own history, his own incarceration was still about a year and a half away. And if you've been watching ITV this evening, you would have been watching Miss World. And if you're interested to know, it was won by Miss Iceland, whose name is that. And in sports news, Northern Ireland had booked their place at the 1996 World Cup with a 0-0 draw against England at Wembley. The number one single in the UK at the time was Fergal Sharkey, A Good Heart. Fergal Sharkey, someone I have a lot of time for. If you haven't followed him and his Clean Up Water campaign, you absolutely should. And the number one movie at the UK box office at this time was the re-release of Walt Disney's Peter Pan. I like Fergal. I do not like that song. Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, the song is incredibly cheesy. But one more little announcement. Now you might notice this little image of a helicopter. That's because Crimewatch now has a brand new title sequence. So let's all sit back and let's enjoy that. Let me know if the audio is coming through okay. Cheeky. Very cheeky. Look at that glitzy new logo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, a gang armed with pistols and a radio-controlled bomb are on the loose. Watch closely. You may help to catch them before someone gets killed. As always, Crimewatch is live and it's for real. The detectives behind me right now are waiting for your call.
We need your help this month to catch a man who killed a lonely woman in her home in Bristol, and also to find 3 robbers who attacked a tiny country bank in Derbyshire. And if ever you've been burgled, maybe something here is yours. Here's our number until midnight, and you may want to write it
stuff
down.
For me to claim coming up.
811 8055.
Well over 1,000 people rang into last month's Crimewatch, and as a direct result, over a dozen men have been arrested and charged. You may remember that armed robbery in Milton Keynes, where courageous building workers struggled with their attackers.
Is that any better?
Police are still following up leads from the programme, and though no one has yet been charged with that attack, 12 people have been arrested as a result of your calls and charged with a variety of crimes, including robbery, theft, and burglary.
And
Okay,
several
well,
viewers recognised a man
good
caught
to
by
hear.
security cameras as he was robbing building societies in London. Within 24 hours of the programme, a 30-year-old man from Holloway in North London was arrested. He has now been charged with
I
5
think they're
robberies
talking
and
about the
1
guy with the
attempted robbery.
hats.
Sometimes the best information that comes to Crimewatch comes from criminals themselves, very often appalled at the level of violence other criminals indulge in. That was the case with a robbery we featured back in January. It was a ferocious and an unprovoked attack on a family in their home in Epping.
Yeah, I reported this guy. As I recall, the husband here, he was never the same after this attack.
I've got a knife. Oh, get him down! Get him down! Get him down! I want him tied up.
208 viewers called in after seeing that, and as a direct result, 3 men from southeast London appeared at Chelmsford Crown Court this week and were given jail terms ranging from 8 to 14 years. And a very recent development in a case we first featured in August. Our lookalike actor played the part of a building society robber who'd struck 11 times in the south of England.
That's three in a row
Last
he's
Saturday, the
been on.
robber moved further north to Leicester. He tied up 6 people and robbed the Abbey National in Horsefair Street at about lunchtime. Now, police will be back outside the Abbey National in Leicester city centre this Saturday. If you were shopping there last Saturday lunchtime, even if you didn't see the robbery or anything suspicious, please do call in and talk to the officers.
Please do.
Well, now to tonight's cases. For several months, police in London and Hertfordshire have been following a trail of attempted armed robberies. Early in the morning, several men brandishing
armed
guns
robberies.
burst into a company on wages day.
That
They
means
hold the
dramatic
staff hostage,
reconstructions.
and then they try to ambush the security van when it arrives. We've reconstructed their most recent raid, where this time they did succeed and they got away with £90,000. But our film starts 4 months before that, with Crimewatch photographs based on police records of one of their earlier attempts. It happened in Hertfordshire, where the robbers gave notice of a sinister new weapon.
Gang. Excitement. Yeah, they're going all artsy. Well, don't be confused. This is not Dear Deirdre.
Imperial Coal Stores was a depot for hops en route from Kent to breweries in the Midlands. It was due to close in 6 weeks' time, but in September there were still some 20 people employed there.
Yeah, that's inflation for you.
Fred Jr., the gate man, arrived first and opened up the offices as usual.
Oh, your comment wasn't going off the screen for a moment there.
The other 5 people who worked with Fred in the office block would all be coming
Or
in
we
during
might just
the
have
next half
to
hour
keep
or
it
so.
on the whole show.
At 7:15 that morning, the only other person on the premises was Peter Bryant, a lorry driver who was still asleep in his cab. Friday was wages day.
Good morning, Fred. Morning, Zaz. All right. Yeah, okay. You got a visitor, Fred. Hold it over.
Get down! And keep him quiet! Right, you come with me. Come on, get up! Get it. Now you stay there. Get down. Face the wall. Face it!
Where are your car keys?
And the ignition.
You tell the truth. If you're pissing me about, I'll shoot you.
Stay there.
You will all something?
Your heart condition.
Christ, oh, make yourself a cup of tea.
Oh, you see that? Not all robbers are that considerate.
Store manager.
Letting him
What's the
make
crap?
himself a cuppa.
I want to know the routine when the security van gets here.
Outside in the yard, Peter Bryant was quite unaware that anything was wrong.
Get in there.
Yeah, well, my old Nana self could do with that now.
What about barrier? Is it usually up or down?
Down. It just depends.
Well, don't touch it. Leave it up. And don't warn anybody.
I love that guy poking around the corner there.
Here, try one.
I don't think the overalls are really necessary. These security vans. Always at a disadvantage.
One of your mates died the other week. All right.
Oh, put your hands on the seat. Come on, spread your legs. All right. Do you know what this is? It's a
Mhm.
remote control unit. And it works this. At the touch of a button, it goes off. What you're going to do
It's a new way of doing it.
Get him out of the cab. And if you let him know there's anything wrong, I'll press a button and blow your back out. Understand?
He like it someday.
You know, from he been gambling, he back one winner in all his life. You remember when?
No idea what he was saying though.
You open this bloody door! I can't blow your bloody head off! I can't open it! Open the bloody door! Come on!
Okay, that was a bit
Money out of the
dramatic.
Get moving! Right. Go on, get it! Get him!
Yeah, don't worry, he's fine.
Turn the bloody motor off! Out! Get out, you bastard! Come here, you little bloody toe rag! Out of the car! Come here! Come on! Get it! Okay, that's the last one! Get in the car!
Just a reminder, the language is toned down for BBC.
Come on!
Well, terrifying. Detective Sergeant Jeff Hunter's in charge of that investigation.
Right, there we go. Yeah, a robbery of, was it the Imperial Cold Store in Tottenham. Okay, so good news is I do have some information to give on this. So we'll just let the detective play out here.
Was the employee we saw there actually shot?
Well, fortunately he wasn't, no. As you've seen, the gun was placed against the side of his head and was discharged, and he was dead for several days after that incident.
And
Yeah,
how
he was
the gate
fine.
man,
He was
Sir
fine.
Julia?
Mr. Julia, unfortunately, hasn't recovered. He suffers from a serious heart complaint, and that was aggravated by this incident.
So it's obviously vital that these men are caught. Could we have
Well-
descriptions of them?
Yes, there were 4 men, but we really
Well,
only
the
have
police think
descriptions.
it was real.
The first was in his early 40s, about 5'9" to 5'10". He was slim,
He's a
built,
weird-looking chap.
wearing a short black wig, and he had dark features. The second man was again in his early 40s, slightly shorter, about 5'7" to 5'8", had short, mousy-coloured hair, brushed across to cover a receding patch at the front.
And the first man with the black wig in particular seemed quite an
Yeah,
unstable
so
character.
Yes, he
uh,
Now that device
says the
which
guy
was
here
strapped
does
to the back of the
say
security guard,
that
could it in
it
fact
was
have killed
it
him?
was legit.
Well, we know that it was a viable device, and as far as we are aware, it could have caused substantial, if not fatal, injury to the man.
And quite unnecessary, really, to make the threat a viable one.
Completely unnecessary.
Now, you brought the actual device in that they used. Where did that come from?
Well, we know that there is an outlet in the north of London, in the Enfield area. It's a wholesale
Yes.
outlet. We'd be interested to know of anybody that has recently acquired
Yes.
these
Dumbest flat
transmitters
earther.
or has come into possession of several of them in recent months.
That could be a vital clue. Now, you think that these same men have struck several times this year, unsuccessfully
No,
until
we don't
now.
know.
So let's just recap.
We don't know. It
the
might have
previous
worked. It might
attempts.
not.
The first one was a bungled attack at Enfield Crematorium on the 25th of April.
They
Then
think
they tried
it
again
potentially
at the
could
Cross and
have.
Herbert Warehouse in Hoddesdon, Hertfordshire, and then on the 3rd of May, that was. Then their next attempt came on the 27th of June at Antico in Ponders End. And finally, it was on the 13th of September that they
Antico.
got away with the £90,000 at Tottenham. Now, how sure are you that all those attacks were linked?
Well, we are linking them because the methods are identical in each case. They're early morning attacks on premises which of themselves wouldn't be considered worthy of robbing. The descriptions of the men concerned are the same. The weapons used are the same.
And the premises are quite irrelevant, really.
Yes, the premises are irrelevant in that we feel that it was the security vehicle which at that time of the morning would be heavily loaded.
And do you believe, in fact, that these men are prepared to
Yeah, it's the
blow
vehicle
someone's
they're
back out, as they
targeting.
put it?
Well, there was an inordinate amount of violence used in this last attack. They've shown a willingness now to discharge firearms. And this device, completely unnecessary that it should be taken. It's a viable device, which could have caused, as I've said, serious, if not fatal injury.
Well, Mr. Hunt, thank you. There's a £9,000 reward for information leading to the conviction of those men. The number to call, if you can help, is 01811 8055. You can speak in
Yes.
confidence to a detective, or as always, you can ask for a BBC researcher. Or you can call the
They look
Central
ready.
Robbery Squad direct on 01230 2061. That's 01230 2061.
Okay. All right. So, the armed robbery. Here are cold stores. So, let me bring up what I have found. And so eventually, this gang of robbers, they actually went on a two-year spree of committing robberies, and in total, they stole over £1 million. Is what they're believed to have taken. So the first one of them who was caught was a gentleman called Glenn Armsby, and he was sentenced to 15 years in January 1988. And then the other two ones who are involved, there was David Croak, who was sentenced to 23 years, and Donald Barrett, who was sentenced to 16 years. Now, Donald's quite an interesting one because he was known as a supergrass. He'd actually been in prison before, where he'd been due to serve a sentence of 14 years, but he only served 3 years of those because he'd grassed up other inmates, and now he was back inside. You know, I haven't been able to find out what happened to him after, but yeah, given that he was now known as a grass, yeah, I would think it would have been very hard for him. Oh, and he was sentenced 16 years this time. It would be a bad idea for the police to assume. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, you don't want to encourage vigilantism. Okay. But yeah, eventually the good news is these guys were all caught in the end. Okay. So we go on. I think it's the Aladdin's Cave.
Now,
I think
cheer
now.
ourselves up a little bit to our Aladdin's Cave. Stolen
Yeah.
treasures recovered by the police. This month they include ivories dredged up from a lake in Kent
It's mine.
and a house full of antique
Mine.
furniture. If you know who owns them, please give us a call. Here to take us through them is John Bly from the Antiques Roadshow. John.
Well, thank you, Nick.
I can
I'm
see
sorry
it.
you missed my recital.
Pianist
But somebody must be missing a
going
grand
crazy
piano.
looking at all that stuff on top of the
And albeit
piano.
a baby grand, it must be leaving quite a hole in someone's room. Sadly, for the first time, we've got some Bibles. I say sadly because these beautiful books are never of any great commercial value outside
This
the
big
family,
book of
but
fairy
only-
tales.
Here we've got one, which I think most charmingly records the history of the Maddock family. Elizabeth Caroline, born 1st of June, 1862.
Evening,
at
Doom.
7:45 on Sunday evening. Isn't that lovely? And we got that right the way through to 1967 with
Doom,
Herbert
we're
and
just
John Day. I hope that
looking
strikes
at
a
your
chord with somebody.
antique
You
collection.
know, what never ceases to amaze me is the enormous amount of things that are imported from all over the world. Everywhere you look, we've got vases from India, vases from Turkey, carvings that Nick's just mentioned from
Oh, the
Africa,
cats.
India, and Japan.
I
And through the old
apologise.
port of Imari, this
I just saw the
beautiful
banter
porcelain
box. I
bowl, these
assumed it
lovely
would be
colours,
Doom using
which
that.
really gave the popularity of this, gave the name. It didn't come from there, it came through that port. Now, this one has got a repair and is mended with a rivet. That in itself is a
I'm going to
clue,
watch
because
your new video
repairs with
when I'm
rivets
done
have gone
here.
out of fashion for some time now. Much more recently, through the same port of Imari, came this Satsuma vase. And also we've got a huge heap of gold coins, including this, which obviously I think is the biggest bracelet I've ever seen. I think there must be at least £2,000 of the gold there.
Oh, I
don't
can't
really want to
trust
put it
you.
down, but I suppose I must. We've got much more furniture than usual. One outstanding piece is this Chippendale style, but not period, buffet or sideboard, which has all the marks of a good 18th century piece, a bit of Chinese blind fret, a C scroll here, an S scroll, but put together in a Victorian way. Do you know, a few years ago, such a piece would probably make only a few pounds. Now, in the region of 1,000. We've also got a fine, admirable Fitzroy barometer.
Sorry, was this you? You debated a trumper? Where was this? I haven't seen this. Was this just on like Twitter or? Oh, okay. Okay, I'll have a look. Yeah, you don't go after Trump. He won the FIFA Peace Prize. Oh, I made a botch of that. The FIFA Peace Prize. So he's amazing.
A very collectible thing, and also collectible, of course, today are toys. And here you've got a fort. Now, the fort is homemade,
Nice.
and obviously of some sentimental value, but the lead soldiers themselves today are very collectible.
A trumper getting bigger, I won't believe it.
Item this time is this pair of what first of all looks like cast iron figures. They are not, in fact, they are bronze, they're Regency, and they were originally little candelabra. They had an umbrella of wires. From each wire hung a crystal drop and a candle sconce in the top. You know, if these were restored, they'd be worth between £450 and £600. They're a lovely item. I do hope that you recognise something here. If you do, please give us a ring.
Indeed. If there is anything you think you do recognise, here is the number to ring: 01811
Yeah, those are mine.
8055. Curiously, Crimewatch isn't so much about crime as about its victims. It's these victims that have aroused your sympathy and your concern. And our next reconstruction is all about one victim who lived alone in St Paul's in Bristol.
Yeah, the
Mrs.
esteemed
Violet Milson
FIFA
was
Peace
62.
Prize.
She was a grandmother, and 6 weeks ago, someone
Given to
murdered her.
him by that most
When police
noble
arrived
of
at her flat,
organisations.
they and the medical crews as well were shocked and distressed by the injuries that had been inflicted on her. They began a search for clues. They now want to enlist your help. Our reconstruction begins nearly a month before her death in Bristol. It shows none of the violence, only the events that led up to it.
Phil, I would like to talk more about that, but we'll pause some music first. The radio
Yeah, there's a reason they don't show any of the violence.
Violet Milsom lived alone in a dingy basement flat. Her grandchildren were welcome visitors, but they couldn't get to see her often, and she was a lonely soul, with Ginger her only company. She was rather scared as well. Each night she lodged a little message in her window to ward off strangers. At 6 p.m., as St. Paul's began to come alive,
I still know
Violet's
people
day
who do
was
this.
almost over.
Put their little card in the window.
Tuesday, September the 3rd, at about 10 o'clock. She disturbed 3 young men who'd smashed a pane of glass in her door. Thursday, the 26th of September, 3 weeks on, and 5 days before she died, Violet went shopping for a chest of drawers.
Chest of drawers?
Can I have that?
How much is that one?
I think, yeah, it's a tenner, that one.
The owner remembers
Tenner?
Violet because she
Bargain.
couldn't spare a tenner from her weekly pension, and she agreed to give him a deposit.
If you can't leave a favour deposit, then we'll get your receipt and then we'll pick it up when you want. Right? I'll get your receipt.
Next day, Friday the 27th, the owner saw Violet once again. She seemed to know this man. If it was you, or if
Yeah,
you
it's
know
Neil
who he
from The
is,
Young Ones.
please call us. Monday, September the 30th. It's pension day, and having collected her allowance, Violet went to do the weekly shopping. It wasn't hard to spend about £5 of the 36 on Rice Krispies, tin soup, and cat food. That afternoon, a helpful neighbour was doing some gardening for Violet.
I think this case is solved.
It does look nice, John. When do you think you'll be able to come and finish it then?
I don't think it'll be tonight.
Don't you come tonight?
That guy looks creepily like my dad.
6 o'clock, you know.
Well, it'll probably be sometime tomorrow.
After her neighbour left, Violet went to fetch the evening paper. As far as we know, it's the last time she left her home alive. What happened next was seen in detail by a witness sitting right across the street. Old Sam, an aging tramp, was in his usual doorway outside the Shady Grove Cafe. And another witness, David Crowley, remembers walking past the flat that night because at about 8 o'clock, 3 youths came out of a garden and pushed past him. And another witness, on her way home at midnight, remembers a man appearing from a gateway near Violet's flat. Old Sam saw all of this as well. He must have done. Yet, ironically, though he can see, he doesn't understand. He lives in a world of his own.
Not a reliable witness.
Next morning, Violet's neighbour came back to do the gardening as he'd promised. When he'd finished, he went down to the flat to borrow a broom. He discovered Violet's body. She'd been strangled, sexually assaulted, and horribly mutilated. Detective Superintendent Malcolm Hughes is the man seeking the killers, and you've been in charge of murder investigations before, but this, I think...
Seen him. He's been on this show before. Yeah, so I have some information to give on this. Can you remember when people used to do the gardening in a three-piece suit? Well, I do it wearing a top hat. Because everything's better in a top hat. Okay, wait. I'll let the detective give the details of what they know.
Is the worst, or certainly one of the worst you've ever come across.
Yes, I've dealt with a number of murders, and without a doubt, this is one of the worst, yes.
You brought a clue. What's this?
This is a belt, I believe, from a summer dress. When we found Mrs. Milsom's body, this was tied around her wrist, and without doubt, has been used by the killer to tie her up.
Not necessarily hers, you think, then? It's nylon?
Yes, it's a nylon material. It looks as though it's from a summer dress. Despite all our inquiries, we cannot be sure this belonged to Mrs. Milsom and could well have been taken there by her killer.
Right. Now, there were several witnesses, as we saw, and people that you badly need to trace. Let's start if we can.
I have
the three youths
I have a special suit
bumped into.
that I
Well, actually,
that
there's
I
one
have
of
set
those
aside
trading
especially
posts,
for the
wasn't there?
purpose
The long
of
hair.
gardening.
What do we know about him?
We know that he was with Mrs. Milsom. They appeared to be quite friendly and obviously knew each other. Now, despite all our inquiries, we haven't found him yet, and I would like to speak to him, obviously.
Right. Then there was the witness, David Crowley, walking past three youths, bumped into him coming out of a garden.
Yes, that was about 8 o'clock on Monday the 30th.
Not for me, it
They
isn't.
were certainly in the area at a very important time, and I would like to talk to them.
And, of course, the man coming out of the gate, I think, very close to her house at about midnight.
Yes, he's an interesting man. He was coming out of a gate next door to hers. Despite all our inquiries, nobody knows him in that house. Nobody knows him in Mrs. Milsom's house. And it's very important I find him and talk to him.
We'll come back to just how important
Jesus
in a
did
moment,
it.
but you've got a card there. Can we just have a look at that and why?
Yes, indeed. When we looked at Mrs. Milsom's belongings at her flat, and amongst some documentation, we found this card. It's a Christmas card. On the front, it says, "For my sweetheart at Christmas." Inside, it says, "To Violet from Steve." Now, despite speaking to all her relatives and friends, we have not been able to find Steve.
To Vile T.
You want to speak, in fact, to anybody who knew Violet Milsom?
Yes, I do.
Now, you're really worried about this murder for a particular reason. Can you explain what it is?
Mrs. Milsom was brutally and sadistically killed. I believe that the man who killed her is mentally disturbed and dangerous. I also believe if he's not caught, he may kill again. I also believe that somebody knows who he is, or may suspect they know who he is. And if there's anybody who knows who killed Mrs. Milsom, or who suspects somebody of killing her, then please come forward and speak to me, because they may prevent another terrible crime.
You really think it's a likelihood that
I
this man
think
will
it's a
kill again?
possibility that he will kill again, yes.
Well, if you think you can help, please do ring us here in the studio. Here's the number, 01 811 8055. Remember, you can speak in absolute confidence, or you can ring Bristol Police at Trinity Road Police Station, Bristol 267 985. That's 0272 267 985. So,
Okay, so obviously, brutal case of Violet Milsom. You know, we did get a little carried away talking about my gardening attire, but yeah. So, and in this case is yeah, this is still an unsolved crime, unfortunately. It's noted for being particularly brutal. That police have never issued any photos of the crime scene. There are plenty of theories that exist. They believe it, that whoever committed the murder is almost certainly local, and they've probably been responsible for other murders in the Bristol area, but no evidence to link them to this particular case. So yeah, 30 years on, still so unsolved. You were 12 then, what? What is that? Millennia? Right. Moving on.
Well, now the Crimewatch Incident Desk. You may not know it yet, but Crimewatch UK is spawning regional programmes, and tonight, making a guest appearance from Crimewatch South, is Constable Mercedes Birch from Dorset.
As far as I
Helen
can tell,
Phelps will
this
be
is
back on holiday
Mercedes'
next month,
only
and
appearance
here,
in the
as
main
ever,
show.
is Superintendent David Hatcher.
Our first case on Incident Desk is an armed robbery. It happened on Halloween at a place appropriately called Spook Hill in Dorking, Surrey. Early that
Spooky
morning,
Hill.
this white Ford van parked a few yards down the hill from a branch of Pritchard's Security Services. As guards were preparing to deliver £23,000 in hospital wages, they were attacked by two gunmen. They grabbed the money and made off in that white van, which we know was stolen 2 weeks before. A passing motorist gave chase until the van was abandoned in Harrow Close, and the men raced off through a covered alleyway to Hampstead Road and got into a grey articulated lorry cab like this. It's still not been traced, and we'd like to know where it went to after Dorking. All three robbers were white. The first is described as being between 30 and 40, approximately 5'10", stocky with short brown hair. The second was also stocky, in his late 20s, about 5'9". The third, the driver, was in his early 30s, slim with long hair which was swept back. That stolen van was B594 AMG. If you know where it was kept between mid-October and Halloween, or if you saw the robbery or recognise the men, give us a ring.
Next, an urgent appeal from police.
Okay. That one, robbery of security vans, as always getting robbed in the 80s. And shine up your shoes, because we are going to the disco for this one. Yeah, couldn't find any further information on that one. There's a photo fit for the third guy here. Yeah, well, you know, I was too smart for them. Kept myself out of sight. That, and I was only 2.
In Greater Manchester. Last Saturday evening, a hooded man attacked a 14-year-old girl as she walked home along Pemberton Road in Wigan. He dragged her into Blundell's Wood, where he raped her and tried to strangle her. She was beaten, gagged, and tied to a tree. It's vital we trace the drivers of 2 cars, a blue Cortina and a white Cortina or Audi, with a V or Y suffix, seen in Pemberton Road around 6 o'clock.
It does sound like
And
a
her
stripper
attacker
name.
left a clue, part of a brown striped tea towel, like this, which he used as a gag. As you can see, the corner has been cut off and the edge turned under and hemmed. We need to find where it came from. The girl had been carrying a yellow bag, like this one, with magazines in it. They're still missing and may have been dumped somewhere. If you've any idea at all who the man is, please call us before he strikes again.
No disco stew for this one, but yeah, couldn't find any more. Okay, next one.
Rose Road branch of Barclays Bank in London had a couple of unpleasant callers on Thursday the 19th of September, but their visit didn't pass unrecorded. As the 2 armed men threatened the cashier, a customer walked in on the robbery. At gunpoint, she was forced to lie down on the floor. After checking the street, the men stuffed the money, nearly £7,000, into a bag and made for the door. The first man was a bit overdressed for September, but we do know he's in his mid-30s and about 5'10" tall. His partner's less camera shy. He's about 35 years old, 5'9" tall, with greying hair. Both have London accents. If you recognise either of them, do ring us.
If you live or work in South Yorkshire or...
That was Scott and Dean robbing a bank there, and also, you know, readying themselves for their trip to the disco. So yeah, Yeah, couldn't find anything on a Barclays bank robbery. That's why you had the hat on, dude.
The East Midlands, you might recognise this man. He's wanted for questioning by police in connection with a series of bank
Come on,
frauds.
Mercedes.
Here's a closer look
We
at
can't
him.
take another
Snapped
trip.
in the act by an alert
here.
cashier with an Instamatic camera. So far, he's got away with more than £2,000 using a variety of false names. If you know him, or if he talks to you about starting an account, please give us a call.
And finally, on incident desk, another.
So, other than looking a bit like Pete Waterman, not Pete, Dennis Waterman, I couldn't find anything else about that guy, unfortunately. So, yeah, fraudster's still out there. Or he might not be. You know, we might get an update on a future episode, but I couldn't find any more on him. Another hard one here.
Picture, an artist's impression of a rapist. He's struck twice so far in Hampshire, most recently on Sunday the 13th of October when he attacked a woman in Aldershot.
It's one of Arthur's latest schemes.
He was wearing trainers, faded jeans and a brown or burgundy sweater with white flecks. He's in his 20s, about 5'11" tall, stockily built, and he was driving a dark 4-door estate. That L plate might mean he's teaching someone to drive. If you think you know him or have information on any of our other cases, please ring us.
Indeed, the number to call 01811 8055.
Okay, so this one you might be expecting that that I don't have anything on this, but because obviously with cases of this, because then you don't get names to search by, so they can be harder to find. But in this case, I think I have actually found that this guy was caught and convicted, which I'm happy to say. So yeah, because I found that the details match in the Aldershot fleet area. It seems he was a private in the local army base called Robert Smith. Obviously, I don't have any victim names, obviously. And he was sentenced to 12 years. It seems what caught him was he tried to attack an on-duty policewoman, and it did not go well for him. So yeah, so I'm happy to say that this guy was put behind bars. So yeah, that's good.
That's 01811 8055.
Well, our last reconstruction tonight takes us into the countryside, to Derbyshire at the edge of the Peak District. It's a part of the world more used to poaching than violent crime, so an armed bank robbery has been a shock to the whole community. A security guard has still not recovered from the attack. It happened 2 months ago in the village of Cromford near Matlock, and police are afraid that the gang might strike again.
Yeah, it's Matlock. I actually know someone from Matlock.
Cromford is busy with tourists.
Well, a village
during the
near
summer
Matlock.
months, but by September the 18th, most of them had gone, returning the village to its usual tranquility. Never in its 100-year history had there been a robbery at the tiny bank in the main street. 15 miles away in Ilkeston that day, a group of men were planning an unwelcome visit to Cromford. They drove into New Oakwell Garage to hire a car. They were leaving it rather late. They were due in Cromford in 2 hours' time. One of the men presented a license which
How
police
do you know
now
they were late?
had been stolen from Nottingham last year.
Sign it for me just there, please.
Yeah.
Yes, I do that every time. Every time I see her.
I'm sorry, sir. Your signature doesn't agree with the one on the driving licence. I won't be able to hire
Well,
to
it's
you.
probably just because the licence is in a bit of a mess.
I'm ever so sorry, but there's nothing I can do about it.
Okay, well,
Sorry.
that's all right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You've got a schoolboy working in the bank.
The white N-registered Mini was spattered with mud, and it was specially distinctive because it still had its original hubcaps, which is unusual for a Mini 11 years old. Three-quarters of an hour later, at Hooley's garage near the centre of Nottingham, their next attempt to hire a car succeeded. A man using the same stolen licence hired this beige Ford Escort, registration number B227KRR.
Yeah, some of these people, they
The
just
main
don't
street in
care.
Cromford, Market Place, was where the Escort was seen next at around 2:45 that afternoon. By this time, there were 3 men in the car. It parked 200 yards away from Lloyd's Bank.
That's a bit of a stupid distance to park away from it.
Can I help you? Yeah, have you got any more of these? I'd like to open a bank account. Yes.
There is an advantage, I guess, if you're robbing a
Would you like to
village
open an
bank,
account
because
now? No, but I will be needing to. I've just moved into the area. I see.
Uh,
Well, if you drop your name...
the police response time will be a lot slower,
Yeah.
but it won't hold as much money.
Cheers.
This is the bit I'm not getting. Why park so far away?
Hello there. Hi, I've got a few minutes now, actually. Can I open a bank account? Okay, fine. Did you bring the form with you? Left them in the car. Sorry about that. It's no problem. There we go. If you'd like to read that and start filling that in, and I'll need your regular signature on there. Okay?
Just your regular one,
I'll wait for you outside.
Thank you so
not your special signature.
As 3 o'clock closing time approached, the bank manager and a customer left the bank.
I'm off.
It was time for the security guard to start locking up.
Right, stand back, it's a raid.
Where are the keys? Give me the keys. Okay. Hang on, let me move it. Come on.
That's a gusher.
Come on, get in there. Get a bloody move. Okay, you've got to give me some time. Right. I didn't mean to hurt him. Let me get the first aid box. Where is it? It's up there. Go on. Here's the car. Don't do anything for 5 minutes. If you do anything, I'll come back and kill you.
How does he know?
Well, the man in charge of the investigation is Detective Chief Inspector Jeff.
There we go. Another exciting bank robbery. They do like their bank raid reconstructions. Branch discipline was awful. The manager should have spotted the hovering bloke outside. Yeah, but I think the point is because it's just a small village bank. They don't really expect to be raided. So yeah, so they're probably just not as observant in those smaller branches. Right, let's just hear what the detective has to say on this.
short. It's rather unusual, actually, isn't it, for a tiny bank like this to be robbed, because the risk is so high for such a small return.
It is. If a team are going to go out armed with sawn-off shotguns and use
Yeah, that's what I'm
violence,
saying.
we would expect them to go to some of the larger branches for where there are more pickings.
In this case,
Yeah, they don't keep a lot of money in those smaller
How
branches.
badly hurt was the security guard we saw there?
He got a very nasty cut over his eye, needing about 9 stitches. Now that's healed up now, but it's left a very nasty scar. And in fact, he's left his job at the bank.
So they might do it again, and in order that our viewers might help to complete the picture of what
Always
happened
the
that
way.
day, I think it's worth looking at where the gang went after the robbery had happened.
I blame the Tories.
The beige escort travelled along the back road to Lee and Holloway, which passes Arkwright's Mills. It took them over the humpbacked bridge, which crosses the River Derwent.
Oh, reconstruction bonus.
We know they went under Cromford Railway Bridge because that's where the truncheon they'd taken from the bank was found. At around 3 o'clock, a Saab driver near High Peak Junction remembers a speeding
That
escort
sounded a
overtaking
bit
him on
hollow,
a
didn't
blind
it?
bend. The car then travelled through the villages of Holloway and Cryche, crossing the A610 at Bullbridge. From there it went south to Belper, where it was found abandoned in the marketplace.
So once they'd abandoned that car, do you know where they went from Belper?
No, we don't. We've no witnesses at all that can actually
Okay,
tell us.
yeah, well,
what
you
happened to them.
you
We
are
would
apparently our
imagine that if they jumped
firearms
out of a car,
expert.
this escort car on the marketplace, and then jumped.
It might have
into
just
another
been a
vehicle,
mistake
that they
by
would
the
be
BBC.
noticed. And we were looking for witnesses who saw them leave that car and get into another one, or in fact, where did they go to?
But what we do know about is their movements early on that day of the robbery. The gang made at least 3 failed attempts to hire a car. The first one was at 12:05 at Sandcliffe Garage in Stapleford. Then at 12:15, they tried at another branch of Sandcliffe Garages in nearby Ilkeston. And at 12:30, they were once again turned away, as we know, at New Oakwell Garage, also in Ilkeston. And then finally, at 1:15, they succeeded at Hooley's Garage in Nottingham. An hour and a half later, that car turned up near
You
the
mean
bank in
Sue
Cromford.
Cook?
They made so many attempts, and with a very obviously stolen licence, they were in fact rather amateurish, it would seem.
They were. They appear to be very amateurish, but unfortunately, they did in fact get away with the money.
What about that white N-registered Mini, which seemed very distinctive? It was mud spattered, and it had original hubcaps.
Yes, it was N-registered. We think that this car does in fact belong to one of the offenders. They kept it out of sight as best they could near the hire car firm, and we're fairly convinced that it does belong to one of the offenders, and we would like assistance from the public to locate that car, hopefully tie it into a team
to
who are
each
doing a
their
good
own.
on this job.
You think the fact that it had an original hubcap is distinctive, so perhaps we can have a look at that.
Yes, this hubcap on a 10-year-old car, there are very few of the cars that we have actually checked in the area have still got the original hubcaps, and we've checked something in the region of 200 in the Nottinghamshire, Derbyshire area.
Well, Mr. Short, thank you very much indeed. There is a £5,000 reward too for leading to the conviction of the robbers. The number to ring here, if you can help, is 01811 8055, or ring the Derbyshire Police direct on Ripley 0773 44883. That's 0773 44883. That and all
Okay.
the other numbers from tonight are on CFAX.
Okay, so on the news that Doom shouldn't be allowed anywhere near Sue Cook. Right, I'll tell you what I've been able to find on the Cromford bank robbery. And I can tell you, this is at least partially solved. So this was in 2010. A gentleman called Alan Murray. He was sentenced to 10 years for the robbery, and he was fined by detectives working on a cold case, and they were using a new fingerprint database, and yeah, they found that the fingerprints found at the scene of the crime matched up with a case of a robbery that he had carried out in 1987. So that's how they were able to find out. I've also found out a little bit about the fingerprint system. It's called Ident 1, which has been in operation since 2004. So that's Pretty cool. I haven't been able to find if any of his accomplices have ever been found. I guess he's not grassing them up. And just for fun, I also looked to see if that bank was still there, and unfortunately, it closed down in April 1999. Okay, and so really just go to that. Remember, yeah, bring back CFAX.
And
No
if you don't have
gingers.
access to a phone, please do write to us. It's Crimewatch UK, BBC Television Centre, London W12 8QT.
We'll be back with any developments on Crimewatch update at 11:35,
Yeah,
which is
don't
about an
do-
hour and a half time. If you can't stay up till then, our next programme is on December the 12th. Please remember, police have asked us to show you isolated cases of violence to help catch the perpetrators. But violent crime is rarer than people think. Indeed, the latest British crime survey just published shows that those who fear crime most, and in particular the elderly, are even safer than the rest of us. So please, whatever we've shown you, don't have nightmares. Do sleep well.
Good night.
Yeah, I need. Okay, there you go. That's it. As I've mentioned before, I don't do the Crimewatch update because generally there's not really anything to add from those. It's just them saying, "Ooh, we got some calls. They've given us some interesting new leads." But occasionally, if there is anything big in those, I will show you. But other than that, yeah, that's it. Good evening. We've found out about my gardening routine. We found out about Doom's love for Sue Cook, and our characters may have a previous history as a bank robber. But so yeah, so I am working on some other things, which hopefully should have a new video in the No Blue Box Allowed out tomorrow. Just gotta hope I can finish the editing on that. Other than that, I will hopefully be back. I won't be able to do it next weekend, but 2 weeks I should be able to do the next Crimewatch rewatch. Okay, and until then, just don't have nightmares.